and dive right in and get started. First off, I would like to introduce Nicole Morris. Nicole Morris is online, and she will be monitoring the chat room. And so I will maybe go to her, or she may interject, and we can get to those questions. I'd like to make sure that you get all the answers that you would like. Nicole is our new office manager. I actually just hired her about 2 weeks ago. We're super excited to have her to our add her to our Mark Twain family, and she is also very excited to be in this position. So, Nicole, did you want to say hello? I hope she's there. Did you log on, Nicole? Well, maybe I'll come back to her. Let me peek in the chat room here. Just real quick. I know she was. Okay, it looks like people are just kind of checking microphones and making sure they can hear. If you're having trouble with hearing, try refreshing your page, possibly re-entering the meeting. Other than that, it looks like we're good to go. So let's go ahead and get started. I will check in on that chat room until Nicole gets on. I just met with her today, so she should be in there. The first thing I wanted to throw out to families is that some dates. So in terms of school this year, the elephant in the room is that it's going to be really weird. It's not ideal. We're in a pretty tough situation. I think everybody's well aware of that. So from a dates perspective, the official first start of school is September 14th. We are starting in distance learning, comprehensive distance learning, based on the requirements by our state. We are not able to have in-person learning. And so at this time, and so we're going to go the first 9 weeks, which is September 14th through November 13th, with comprehensive distance learning. October 5th is a date that our school board has determined we're going to reevaluate what the requirements are, what the restrictions are, and decide whether or not starting November 16th we can begin having in-person school. And so you guys may have received some communication from our district office about choosing one of two pathways. The two pathways are what's called Fox Online, and the other one is called Fox Hybrid. Okay, first, Fox Online. Fox Online is the decision to have your child be at home or not be at school the entire school year. The entire school curriculum for them will be delivered online, and you'll make that decision to have your child be at home the entire year. A lot of parents have checked in with me and basically asked about, what if I choose to keep my child at home for their safety? What does that look like? You would choose Fox Online so that you do not have to officially say that your child, quote unquote, is being homeschooled. We still want to serve your child. We have some avenues to do that, and that decision would be Fox Online. The second one is hybrid. Hybrid means that when we're able to have in-person school, your child would then come to school on a hybrid schedule, or that A-B block schedule that we had communicated earlier, maybe a few weeks ago. If during that hybrid schedule things don't improve or maybe get worse, and the decision is made that no one can be at school for health reasons, kids would then go into a temporary shutdown, and they would go back to basically comprehensive distance learning. If the restrictions are lifted and your kid can come back to school, your kiddo would then go back to the hybrid model. And so the hybrid model now enables you to send your child, if that's what's being allowed, and then also continue that education at home during times of temporary shutdown, which is what we are officially in right now, is temporary shutdown. Specifically, the question has come up about the curriculum. Okay, the question gets asked a lot: is this going to look like what last spring looked like? So to answer your questions, the direct answer to that is no, it's not going to. Last spring was a school closure that was placed on everybody, and everybody got sent home, but we had already started the school year. So our teachers had already begun delivering curriculum in an in-person model, but then our kids were asked to go home. And so the difference this year is that the school district has purchased a curriculum that's called Ingenuity. That curriculum is specifically intended to be delivered online. And so you're receiving an online curriculum this year compared to last year. Last year was an in-person curriculum that we tried to deliver online, and it just didn't work very well. It wasn't intended to do that. And so that was where a lot of, I think, the frustration kind of came from. And so that will be one change this year. If you do choose to go online and have your child be at home the entire school year and not worry about bouncing in and out based on the guidelines from the state, your child will receive Ingenuity curriculum online the entire school year, which is the proper tool. It is based on grade level, so a kindergarten would be receiving kindergarten curriculum, first grade curriculum, and so on. If your child is in a hybrid model, the curriculum that we would be delivering, whether they are in person or at home, is going to be Ingenuity. And the benefit to that is that if we have a closure, your child is going to continue to pick up where they left off. They'll be assigned lessons. They'll have interventions that may be there if the child might be missing the mark. There's possibility for extensions if your child is accelerated. And if we come back to school, they pick up again in person using the Ingenuity curriculum. And if there's another temporary closure, you pick up where you left off in person with Ingenuity curriculum. And so it allows us to have a much smoother transition based on what the health restrictions are to have in-person learning. Let me check again and see. Nicole, are you online now? I do not think she is. Okay, I'm in the chat room right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and monitor my chat room. And I've got one question in there that says, is there still a $35 supply fee if your child is in the online Fox program? And so here's what I can tell you is that we haven't made a final decision on that, because what is at-home learning, whether you are online or we're during a closure and you've selected the hybrid model, we don't know exactly what supplies are going to be required. Some families are going to have those supplies at home. Some families are going to need to purchase those. And so right now, we're really just pushing the pause button on supplies until A, we know what supplies are needed for this school year, and B, how much school we're actually going to be able to have at school. Okay, so until we kind of definitively know what we're doing, we're not going to have any families pay a supply fee, and there'll be more information based on whatever we can do for school. And that was actually my next bullet there. So let's go ahead and move on. The other piece is that in a normal school year, we have in a normal school year, we have an orientation at the beginning of the school year. So, and we usually have a back to school letter that talks a little bit about the school year and what things you can kind of expect. And so this year, since we're in a really odd starting point, we're going to continue to have these town halls serve as our back to school letter, and as well as kind of our orientation, okay, for beginning of the school year. When we do get to an orientation time, depending on what's required, we may communicate via email. We may have these town halls where we can do this virtually. If folks would like to watch these that are recorded, you can do that. And so until we kind of definitively get an idea of what exactly the school year is going to look like, we're not scheduling an orientation. When we do get there, there will be a time for orientation. There will be an opportunity for you to ask questions, both of your teacher as well as of myself, okay? So more to come kind of on what the school year actually looks like, but to satisfy everybody and make sure we get information out, we're going to continue to have these weekly town hall meetings, and I hope that answers as many questions as possible. If you have specific questions, if you have a unique situation, please feel free to email me directly. Please feel free to call the school and ask those questions. Every family situation is a little bit different, and we want to make sure that we serve you as best as possible, okay? Speaking of communicating with the school, obviously we have our emails are available. Please feel free to email me or email our office staff. I do need to go in and update Nicole's email address as our office manager. I think it still says Debbie Wiesner in there, which she retired last year, so congratulations to her. But the phone will be, we will have folks manning the phone starting August 17th. Okay, August 17th is the first day that we'll have folks manning the phones. Nicole's first job will be to go through the voicemails that folks that called in when we were not here left. And so basically during the summer, we don't have anyone manning the phones, which is why I'm pretty sure there's probably a little bit of frustration there, but we don't really have anybody manning the phones during the summer. And so we'll have somebody starting August 17th. Got a couple of questions coming in the chat room, so I'm going to transition there. One question is, do you know which teachers will be teaching hybrid and which teachers will be teaching online? So that's a great question. We are going to wait until we get the results of what families selected. If we have a lot of families selecting online, we will have more teachers in that online model. If it's skewed the other way, we'll have more teachers kind of in the hybrid model. So we don't really know exactly which teachers will be teaching online and which teachers will be teaching hybrid. That also has a few questions. There is the possibility, and we have administrative meetings coming up tomorrow and Wednesday, but there is the possibility that depending on how many people choose an online class, you may, let's say you have a first grader, your first grader may be in an online classroom with a teacher from another school, for example. We may have only hybrid teachers here, and there may be a certain number of online requests for first graders, and we may put a first grade classroom together of like 25 students, let's say, and that teacher may not be a Mark Twain teacher. It may be a different teacher, okay? So I hope that helps with that question. So at this point, we don't know until we get the actual numbers for which family selected online and which family selected hybrid. Second question is, will incoming kindergartners have a placement test before the school year? The answer to that is yes, we will have some placement tests. We will have some assessments during the school year. We do not know exactly what that looks like. Typically in the past, we have kindergartners coming in by appointment, and we still may do that. We don't know exactly what our restrictions are. We don't know exactly how we're going to set that up, but there will be some information. I should have information by that time we have our next town hall as to how we're going to set up the kindergartners for beginning of the school year. So I think the reality is, yes, we need to assess those kids. We need to see where their starting points are. And so until we get kind of a process or a protocol for how we're going to do that, I can't answer that definitively yet, what it's going to look like. Next question is, the Fox online schedule seems to be flexible. Is the hybrid schedule set from 8:05 to 2:30? That's a great question. I think the reality is the Ingenuity curriculum that's being delivered, is meant to be delivered online in a flexible schedule. And so your child will be receiving 5 days worth of instruction. And I actually have some minutes. I think there was some information that came from our superintendent. It says kindergarten through 3rd grade. The minimum number of minutes for a week is going to be 11 hours and 40 minutes. And so you have the ability to check in and get online for Ingenuity, complete lessons, and then take breaks or check out. So yes, I think there's a lot of flexibility in when the child gets on. Some of you guys are going to be sending your kiddos to daycare, and so you're going to have probably a daycare staff member, maybe with your child as well as others, helping kind of be the learning coach. Some of you will be doing that as parents at home. Some of you may pool with families and share that responsibility. So I think there's a lot of flexibility, especially with the Ingenuity curriculum, because it is intended to be delivered online, to get outside of kind of your standard 8:05 to 2:30 timeframe. Let's see. Just got off the phone with ODE this morning on how we can bring in kids between now and August 31st under existing summer school guidelines and restrictions. So we have another administrator from a district has a kiddo in our school, and we might get some additional information on kind of how to bring in kids under some of the parameters that they've set, like for summer school, for example. So, and I know we're going to talk about that at the district. We will make sure that information goes out to you guys district-wide, not just our school for kindergarten through second graders, but that will be a district-wide process. So thank you. I appreciate that information there. I got one more person that's asking for admittance to come in. Okay. A couple other specific things that I wanted to talk about. I threw out the term learning coach. We actually have a district document that has gone out. There's a link that you can click on through the Parent Square. You got a message from the superintendent. The first question is, what is a home learning coach? A home learning coach is an individual that basically guides on the side the students, helps them with the schedule of what times they're going to get on, what lessons are going to be completed. If they have questions, they may be able to answer those. If they can't answer those, they're going to be the ones that from an adult perspective, can check in with the point person at the school, can also check in with the teacher and make sure those questions get answered to continue and make sure we've got a smooth smooth learning plan for the kiddo. It might be a group of kids if families pool together as well. So the goal of a learning coach is basically to be that adult on the side to help kids, because we are talking about kiddos that are 5, 6, and 7-year-old. They're not independent enough, and we know that. And so the curriculum and the schooling for this year will be set up with that in mind. That email, if you want to reference that document, that email went out, came from our superintendent, Scott Drew. It went out on Friday, August 7th, 3:30 in the afternoon. It had some minutes in there for different age groups. And the very first frequently asked question has a link there to what a home learning coach is, and you can take a look at that document. Okay. Let's see. Other items. You know, one thing too, and this was in the chat there. One thing too is that there are some exceptions from ODE or the state, basically about the fact that younger age children are at less of a risk for contracting COVID. And so there are some exceptions about number one, taking advantage of the fact that younger children are at less risk, and that the younger children are the children that need the adult the most. They need the teacher the most. So there's some exceptions in there about kindergarten through 3rd grade being able to come in as the restrictions get lifted. I don't know exactly what that looks like, A, in our district, and B, at Mark Twain specifically. I hope to have some of that information when we start up, but there may be a possibility both for the younger age kiddos to come to school if you are in a hybrid model, as well as students that maybe are of higher needs. Could be students that have an official 504, that maybe have some services from special education. There may be some additional needs that are either on the family or maybe that the student has. Maybe we're trying to kind of uncover the best way for that child to learn. So based on individual needs, and if the restrictions are reduced a little bit, there may be opportunity to provide some of those services. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. Hopefully, to get a little bit more direction on that from our district. But that is a possibility as well, listed. If you had a chance to take a look at some of the direction from the state, there are some exceptions in there, and those are just a few of them. Let's see. When are new kindergarten parents going to start receiving emails? So probably within the next 2 weeks, we're going to start getting some information in terms of how many kindergartners we have. Also starting to get an understanding of which kindergartners would like to choose the hybrid model versus which kindergarten families are going to choose the online model. The other piece to that too is we will set up, if given the direction and given the okay, try to set up some of those initial assessments for those kindergartners. And so you should be receiving some information within the next couple of weeks. Next Monday, we will have another town hall, and I'll write that down as a note to get back to kindergarten families to find out exactly what the beginning of the school year looks like. There was one other thing I was thinking about with kindergartners. I'm trying to remember. It's escaping me. I need to write that down because there was something specific to kindergartners that I wanted to share. Can't remember what that was. Let's see. Nope, it's escaping me. I think for the most part, in terms of information that's going out, the only other thing is really about how all of this is going to be organized. And so you're going to see a couple of things too. Number one, Ingenuity is the curriculum that's being delivered. Okay, so Ingenuity is an online curriculum that is going to be the curriculum for this school year. The second thing is that you might see a term called Canvas. Canvas basically is a learning management platform. Canvas, the best way to think about Canvas is truly like, from an artistic standpoint, like a canvas that you would paint on. Canvas is kind of the dashboard where teachers are going to place either lessons or curriculum things or notices. It's going to basically, in our school, take the place of Seesaw, some of you might be familiar with, or Dojo. The reason we are going to Canvas is because based on the surveys that we received last year with how well we did with distance learning in the spring, parents said, I have children at different age levels. I have a student at Mark Twain, I have a student at Silverton Middle School, and I have a high school student. And we use 3 different methods to communicate with the school. So Canvas has the ability to be one platform, K through 12, that our entire school district is going to use. There's an opportunity for teachers to provide feedback on students' lessons. There's the opportunity for parents to ask questions and kind of chat back and forth with teachers, leave messages. There's a video option that'll actually go through Canvas, so you don't have to have a separate login to get on if your teacher's going to meet with you live. And so it really truly is a dashboard that kind of is a one size fits all for the entire K through 12 system here in Silver Falls School District. And so be looking for Canvas, and when we get some training for parents, be looking for Canvas to be where you will have everything. For example, that I gave you about the different age ranges of kids, you're going to log on to your Canvas site, and it's going to have all 3 kiddos there, even though they might be in different schools. And so you're going to be able to click on, or your child will be able to click on his or her name and be able to see what their learning plan is for the day. And so it's really a response from the school district to not have 3 or 4 different communication methods or 3 or 4 different apps, and just use the Canvas app so that there's one system for parents to communicate, for lessons to be placed, for videos to be placed, for the learning for this year. And if it goes well, it's probably going to be something that we're going to stick with as a district. Okay. Let me jump back in the chat room. We've got a couple, might have missed a couple here. Oh, I remember what I was going to say, getting back to the kindergartners. In the past, I'm going off of dates from previous. In the past, in terms of class lists at Mark Twain were posted on August 26th last year. And so at the end of August, we've kind of started, that's kind of a time frame where we're starting to make decisions on where kiddos are going to go. So you can expect to hear either A, who your online learning teacher is, or what classroom you are in for a hybrid class, kind of in that end of August time frame. We will communicate through Parent Square. We will also probably mail home a letter so that basically everybody has the ability to get this information. If you have questions or you want to know where your child is being placed, look to maybe communicate with us by the end of August, okay, for a time frame. That's what I wanted to say on kindergartners, because that question was, when can we expect to start receiving emails? Next question here. For families moving into the district, will staff be able to respond to submitted initial registration paperwork? Let's see. We're going to take a look at any. We'll follow up with any of the new registrations. So if you don't hear from us, you're new to the family, maybe you haven't received any of the Parent Square. Parent Square is the district-wide kind of communication where you're getting emails or texts or automated phone calls. So if you haven't heard from or received an email through Parent Square and you're a new family, please give us a call here at the school. And we can definitely make sure that we have your information correct. If we have any questions, we have that taken care of, and you have the opportunity to give us some questions. Let's see. Next question is, how do you choose Fox Online or hybrid? So there should be on the district website, or you should have received a response. There's a way to choose which. I'm actually reading as I'm talking here, which online or hybrid you want your child in. If you did not see that, please feel free to shoot me an email or call us starting August 17th, and we'll make sure you have an opportunity to get your child placed in that hybrid or online model. One thing too, and this is another question that came up, can I change my mind? The request and the deadline to choose online or hybrid is so that we can appropriately staff the number of children that need to have one or the other. Yes, the answer to your question is yes, you can change your mind, because in reality, you may want to try to do online, but it may not be working, and you might want to take advantage of hybrid. Or if you want to choose hybrid and it just doesn't work out, or we have a lot of back and forth and change is really difficult for your child, online may be the way to go to kind of take that change back and forth out of the equation. And so, yes, based on the needs of your child, if you want to go from one choice to the other choice, we will accommodate that. We're here to serve your child, and we're here to make sure that they're in the best position to be successful. So if one is not working, we can move to the other choice. Will home learning coaches be used for both hybrid and online? The district post on July 31st makes it look like it will just be for the online program. So yes, if you are online or you're in hybrid, either way, we are still here to serve you. So if you have questions, something is not, you are going to be in online, you want to stay in online, but you need somebody to kind of be a point person at school, or you need somebody to bounce ideas off of or ask for help in terms of like keeping your kiddo on track for the online school, we can help you with a point person here at the school, or a learning coach kind of through the school that you can check in with on a regular basis. And so again, based on your needs, whatever you need, please know that there's lots of options, and the bottom line is we want your child to be successful, okay? So we can problem solve with you and make sure that he or she is being successful in the model you choose. Next question, when are new first graders coming from another school going to be contacted that they are registered? I'm wondering if that's a move-in or not. Again, on that question, if you haven't heard from us, please email. I'm receiving emails right now. Please email me your specific situation, or if you can wait until August 17th, go ahead and give us a call here at the school number, and somebody can help you with that. Will teachers be working from the classroom or from home? What hours will they be available? Okay, so a couple of situations. Number one, we want to make sure that the teachers are in the best environment to serve their kiddos. So some teachers have the option to come in here and work from the school. and that's going to be their, kind of their learning or working station. Some teachers will be doing that from home. We are basically, the direction that we're giving teachers is they have a job of serving the kids in their classroom. If they can do that job because of internet connections or whatever the case may be, we're going to ask them to come in and do that from their classroom. If they can do that best from home, then they're going to do that from home. So that's going to vary from teacher to teacher. The hours are also going to vary a little bit, but you will get a schedule. You will be in direct contact with your teacher, meaning that you'll have the ability through Canvas to communicate your concerns or your questions with your teacher. And so they will have a schedule, they will have set hours when they're available, and you will be able to communicate with them regularly. Kids will likely still be required to wear masks if and when we return to in-person learning. This will likely be hard for the younger kiddos. How do you anticipate enforcing the mask rules with this age group? So what I can tell you is we always pride ourselves on being a PBIS school. So whenever we talk to the students, we try really, really hard to talk to them from terms of what they can do, okay? So in terms of enforcing the mask rule, some kids can handle that because we tell them that's the expectation. Hey, children, to keep you safe, the expectation is that you're gonna wear a mask. You're gonna wear a mask just like I'm wearing. Teachers may be wearing a cloth mask that covers their mouth. Teachers may be wearing, depending on if they need to speak to the children or they need to show them pronunciation or, that's part of the lesson. Teachers may have a clear face shield over their mouth. There are some masks that just cover like the nose and mouth area, but it's a plexiglass shield so they can see their lips moving. And then obviously you have the face covering as well as like the cloth mask. So I think the teachers are going to model a safe expectation for kiddos. We're going to talk to kiddos in terms of what the expectation is. And so when they come to school, we're going to talk about you can wear a mask. You can keep your hands on your school supplies within your space boundary. We can be respectful of others' personal space. All kind of from that framing all of those responses from what they can do. Some kids, based on their level of self-regulation, are not going to be able to handle that, and that's going to be really, really difficult. We will have a process in place where if a kiddo is having a difficult time with that, we might escort that kiddo out of the classroom, okay? Maybe try to reteach that expectation of the reason that we keep this mask on is for safety, ours as well as for other students in the classroom, and try to help them with that understanding. If they can't do that, we're not going to be able to have that kiddo in the classroom, and we'll have to talk about what next steps are. If they can do that, they'll be returned to the classroom, mask on, and continue to go from there. There are some situations, and I have had a couple of parents ask questions about from the medical standpoint. Maybe a kiddo might have asthma. Maybe the mask definitely is irritating that condition. We'll have to take some of those things into consideration and talk about that on a case-by-case basis. We're only going to be able to work within the boundaries that we have. And so we're going to follow what the state boundaries are, as well as what our school district sets in place. Again, from the big picture of trying to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to be successful. So I don't have a definitive answer on maybe what an individual situation may look like. But yes, if the state says our kids, when they come back to school, are going to wear masks, then we are going to expect everyone to wear a mask. We're going to do the very best we can to teach the expectation and model that for our students. When in-person resumes, will we be returning to full days in cohorts? Yeah, when in-person resumes, the goal right now, so hybrid is when we are allowed to come back to school, students will come back to school on a full day in an A-B schedule, like what was communicated previously. So that will be the first step back when we are able to come back to school. If things continue to improve and we're able to increase the number of students that are going to be in a classroom, then we will make those adjustments as necessary. With the potentially, if things continue to improve, maybe before the school year's out, we're completely back to school in with very few restrictions, and every child can be there every single day. So yes, those are all possibilities. and we will fit within the boundaries that we're given. Will students have face-to-face online time lessons with their teacher and classmates during this fall when everything is online? I don't know the answer to that specifically, because the Ingenuity curriculum, we have not been trained on that. I actually have only taken about 4 or 5 classes. I got some login information last week, so I started taking a look at some training modules. It really depends on what the expectation of the curriculum is. Remember, the curriculum is designed to be delivered online. And so you will be in contact with teachers. There will be some videos, there will be some face-to-face, but depending on what the expectations of the curriculum are, it may not be like what we tried to duplicate last spring, which is to have the entire classroom on at a certain time. It may not work into a schedule. Some students may not be able to stay on for that entire time due to their level of self-regulation. And it may not be the best use of time during this time when we're delivering instruction online. And so I would not expect that we're going to have a great deal of face-to-face full classroom video, especially with this age range. Should new kindergarten parents already receive something from Parent Square, or should we wait for a couple weeks for that? I think if you're new, we may not have put your registration information into the system. So if you have not received anything from a Parent Square communication, whether that's an email or a phone call, please wait until August 17th to call in, and we'll track down your registration, and we'll make sure we give you a date of when your information is going to be in the system, and then you'll be able to start receiving communications, as well as obviously these communications will come via Parent Square as well. We will continue to, when we have these town halls, we will continue to make sure that they go out via social media. And I know that we do have some parents that are kind of reposting them on their Facebook pages, as well as the district has social media pages that they send out throughout the town. Oh, thank you for that. We've got a parent that checked in and said that just sharing the information, you will automatically be put into hybrid if you don't make a selection. And again, going back to what I said before, please make sure that if it's not working for your child, communicate with your teacher first, communicate with us, and we can make sure we put you in the best situation for your child's success. Deadline was yesterday, but the possibility to extend that, and it looks like there's a link to that form. Will the curriculum be the same if you choose online only versus hybrid? If a child is more advanced in a subject, will the online format facilitate an advanced level of learning for the grade they are in? So again, I cannot answer the question about what the curriculum looks like if your child is advanced. I do know that it is huge for us to differentiate for children. So if you are working at an accelerated rate, your teacher will have options to make sure that you are getting curriculum at your child's level and your child's growth plan. If they are accelerated, then we'll make sure we accommodate that. To answer your question about the curriculum though, yes, Ingenuity is the curriculum for this year, whether your child is in a hybrid plan or an online plan, okay? We're right at about 12:45. I wanted to, at 12:45, if you have the information you need and you're ready to kind of log off and say goodbye, to go ahead and do that. If you would like to stay on, I'm going to kind of stay on for another 15 minutes. And if you have questions, would like to ask me directly, have a scenario you want to run by me, please feel free to do that. You can unmute your microphone. You can talk to me. I will do the very best I can. Also, to make sure that you are aware, during this time, I'm going to continue to leave the recording on. And so if you ask this question and it helps out a couple of other families, I think that's a win. So thank you for being a part of this. Remember that the next town hall will be next Monday at 6 o'clock. I will send out another link for that via Parent Square. It will also be on the district webpage and go out through the district social media outlets. I will communicate how you can watch this recording if you want to rewatch it, or if you have a friend that wasn't able to be here. So thank you for being a part of this. Hopefully I answered some questions. Hopefully I helped some families out. It was great to see some of the kids' faces. If you would like to ask a question, I'll go ahead and open it up and you can unmute your microphone and ask away.
Hey, Greg, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Canvas iPad or computer compatible? Will there be options to check out iPads through Mark Twain, or is it going to be strictly on the computer? I'm kind of wondering from a technology standpoint what we need to have available for starting this fall.
Yeah, great question. Yes, my understanding right now, and this is about 95% accurate, my understanding is that Ingenuity and Canvas is internet based. And so obviously cell phone is probably not super conducive, but from a cell phone to a desktop computer, the students should be able to access everything that they need to. It doesn't have to be an iPad, doesn't have to be a laptop. We will also be issuing iPads out for those families that feel that that's going to be a better situation for their kiddo. So there will be more information when we start off the school year. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that does. So it seems that we'll need to kind of wait until we get closer to starting, and then we'll be able to have that option to be able to check out iPads.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that iPad checkout will be an option for families, yes.
Thank you.
You bet. Anybody else? Dave, make sure you say hi to Emmett for me. Others?
Hey, Greg, I have a question, and it's kind of a funny one, but at that age group, it's common that, kids like to run up and hug principal or hug the teachers, and they're going to have face masks on, but can they do that?
Yeah, I think, so I can tell you a couple things because a couple thoughts kind of in my mind. And again, like I'm in it for the first time with everybody. The human contact is so big. Hi, buddy. The human contact is so big for this age group. And I think it's one of the things that makes our school great is that, I hug kids, I high five kids, I give them fist bumps, all of those things. And to not be able to do that is it creates kind of a void. And so during this time, we're going to have to be very explicit with kiddos as to what we can do. One of the things that I've kind of seen is, kids will take like a ruler or a popsicle stick, and they'll get a piece of cardboard and they'll trace out their hand and they'll cut that hand out, and that can be like their high five hand. And so they might high five that with another person. I may, if we end up in hybrid and kids come through the door, I will probably have a high five stick. Or we're going to do like air fist bump, or, we just kind of have to try to adapt kind of during this time, but still try to accomplish some of those connections with kids. So I'm assuming if we do end up in hybrid, I will probably wear a mask that is see-through so they can see my mouth, so that they can see me smile, so that they can see me, interacting with facial expressions. And then it's going to have to be like an air high five or an air fist bump, or we might have our high five stick or something like that. So we're learning as we're getting closer to having kids back to school. But those are just a few examples of ways that, myself, as well as our teachers, are going to try to continue to make connections with kids. Anyone else? Oh, I see a hand raised there. What's your question, Missy?
So when we go back to school, do you know when the viruses are going to even stop?
You know what? That's a great question. Here's one thing that we don't have a lot of control over. Like for example, we don't have very much control over how hard the wind blows outside. We don't have very much control over how hard it rains or how much it rains, okay? So the virus is kind of like that. It's making some people sick. It's not very nice. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of control over it. So I think the virus, kind of like the weather, is going to determine when its time with us is done. I don't know when that is, but hopefully we'll be able to have some in-person school, and the virus will have a time when it's tired of being with us and it's going to go away. Does that help answer your question? Thank you so much for asking that. Others? Mrs. Scott, you're making me sick. You're getting me motion sickness.
Sorry, didn't know my camera was on.
Where's Stella's question? She's always got great questions.
Yes, the girls are out playing with the pack of kids.
Awesome. Awesome. Got a few people still on here. Anybody else have questions or anything I haven't asked? Maybe any of the kiddos have questions that they would like me to answer? All right. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I'll say goodbye then. We have our next town hall scheduled for next Monday. It'll be at 6 o'clock in the evening. Again, I will record it. Oh, we have a question that popped in here. I'm just going to read it. How are you going to welcome new students and new kindergarten students? So unfortunately, without in-person, it's going to be really, really hard for students to get an understanding of what our school looks like. But what we can do is we can communicate as best we can through emails and through kind of, maybe some documents that kind of step-by-step talk about what the learning is going to look like this year. So your teachers are going to communicate with you through Canvas. I'm going to continue to have these town halls and communicate and communicate via Parent Square. But we're just gonna really try to do the very best we can to answer questions, to meet as many new families as we can through video conferencing or over the phone. It's going to be difficult. It's going to feel a little sterile. It's going to feel, like we're missing something, and we are. And unfortunately, that's the world we live in right now. And so we're going to do the very best we can. Try to make sure you have the information that you have. If there are suggestions on things that maybe you feel like a new family or a new student needs, please feel free to ask, because that can only help us do our jobs a little bit better.
Okay, we'll say thank you. I can't wait for school.
Thank you. Can't wait for school.
Oh, big man, I can't wait to see you, buddy. You keep having fun, and we'll see you soon.
Say okay, bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Animated. I love it. All right. Is that everybody? Sounds great. You guys take care. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you for your questions. Please remember, feel free to email me. And August 17th, the phones will be manned. So give us a call. We're happy to help. We're here to serve. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.